So another one on the philosophy side. So, what's your motivation for transition? Why are you looking to leave? Things like that. That's a very common question that we get out there. Or, why are you looking for work? And one of the things that really kind of came up here at my time at IK, going into everything with the pandemic, a lot of companies kind of had to downsize. People were terminated. There's no shame in that, in terms of like being let go and things like that. Like that's just kind of part of the world. Like I've been in those situations myself. I was actually impacted by COVID right before I joined IK and the company that I'm currently in, and it was like it felt weird kind of talking about it, but it's life and it happens. So if you're in those situations, like it's okay to say like, hey, unfortunately my company had to downsize, and this is why I'm looking, but just kind of putting more insight and input into what you're looking for. Like now that you have this opportunity to, go into the market, just being more mindful of what it is you're looking for. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about in this one. But things that they're looking for in this one, again, are you introspective? And what they mean by that is like, are you really seeing this as an opportunity to really grow, or are you just really seeing this like as a job? But really kind of looking at the opportunity as a whole, not just kind of looking at it as a stepping stone. And I've seen people even say that before in an interview, like, even if that is what you're doing, like don't say that to the interviewer. Like, hey, I'm joining this startup because I want to use this as a stepping stone in my career. Like that's not good to say, because that means okay, you're just gonna learn what you can and then go somewhere else. Like they in their mind, they want you to stay committed. It's kind of like the equivalent of like trying to like propose, to someone and saying like, hey, like I want to do this, for a couple of years and see what happens. 9 times out of 10, the person is going to say no to your marriage proposal. So just kind of keeping it in that perspective really helps out a lot. So one thing you want to avoid is like you never want to say anything negative about your current or past employer, manager, or team, even if it's true. And the main reason, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to take it as like, okay, if things don't go well here at this company, are you going to badmouth us in other interviews? And now you're going to hurt our reputation. You're going to hurt our brand. So you really want to make sure that you're avoiding that. It's also important to keep all your interactions as positive as possible. If you can't keep it positive, lean more on the neutral, but you never want to have like negative vibes. I really can't even think of another word, but like negative vibes in your interview, because like when we think about interviews, a lot of times it's not like we don't always remember the candidates because like we have so many interviews. We might forget names, all that good stuff, but we never forget how the candidate made us feel. So like if I leave every interaction with a candidate positive and I feel good about them in the end, like that I can at least take to my debrief, and that'll kind of help me fight for the person a little bit more. And that kind of goes like, that's kind of universal. Like I've noticed that like all of my debrief sessions, like people really take note of how people made them feel. Another thing that they really look at too, like in terms of red flags, is like, burning bridges. Like as you're talking about why you're leaving your current company, like, are you leaving this company because you have no choice? You burn bridges. Nobody wants you. And if you leave, you can't come back. Is it one of those situations? That's going to be a big red flag. You also want to stay away from things around, not being promoted, not being paid enough, because again, what if the same situation happens in this current company or in a company that you're interviewing with? If you don't get the promotion, or if you don't get, paid $350,000 base in the next year, are you going to be looking? Are we going to have to backfill your position? And nobody wants to be in that position. Like having to backfill a role is like the worst, because there's just so much work that goes into it, and it really costs the company a lot of money, because you spend all the time and resources into one person, and now you have to like replace that person, and it takes time to ramp other new people up. So we really want to try to make sure we like get a feel in for this person and feel like they're going to be here for a while, and not just come and go. So just kind of think about it from that perspective. So in these types of situations, I want to kind of switch it over to you all. Is this more of an opportunity to like sell, or is this going to be more of a remain neutral type situation as you're kind of talking about yourself? What do we think on this one? Are we selling ourselves? Are we staying neutral? What are we doing? Nobody? All right. So this one is a little tricky. So in this one, it's really no way to sell yourself. You really want to stay neutral on this. Again, if you can't go positive, keep it in a neutral zone. So as you kind of talked about that transition, again, maybe talk about just some things. Maybe I'm looking for areas to grow in a certain space. Really want to be more hands-on in machine learning. I want to be more hands-on in terms of like large-scale product launches or on products that have a larger impact on people's lives, things of that nature. That really goes a long way, which kind of goes into our next one, why us? So like, the big question that really catches a lot of people off guard is the why us? And I've seen some really bad answers to this. So really what the interview is looking for on this one is making sure that you've done like ample research before like doing your first interview. And I would even say like it helps, sorry, it helps, even before you talk to a recruiter or even before you apply to the position. Like I've seen people apply for a role and then I reach out to them and they don't even remember anything. Like they don't even know who they're talking to, what we're talking about, anything. So like that's always going to be a red flag. So like kind of know like important things about the company in terms of like what they're doing, what projects they're leading, what initiatives, what things do they do well, what's the company culture like, things like that really goes a long way. Even if like where like especially with companies being remote and things of that nature, just kind of talking about the culture that they're building out, or maybe work-life balance, like all of those things really go a long way. So they really want to see like, have you done your homework? And you really want to try to find things that they're proud of and really understand that and connect with them. So one of the things, like when I was going through my Facebook interview, one of the things that I mentioned was, I really like how Facebook allowed people to stay connected. And then from there, I was able to tell like my Facebook story. And again, for those who interview at Facebook, be prepared for that. Like, what's your Facebook story? And basically what we mean by that, like, tell us about a time where you're able to like reconnect with a friend, or you found someone, that you thought was lost in your life and you're able to pick things up. Like they really want to get emotional with you. Like that's just Facebook's culture, but they say that because they're really proud of the impact that they have. But just doing your research and tying things back to people. And especially now with COVID going on, like the Faang companies are really like the lifeline for a lot of folks. So you can kind of use that as like talking about your COVID story or your quarantine story of how Netflix kept you entertained and, kept you from, running into traffic because you were losing your mind from sitting on the couch. So just all of those things really tie in, and it kind of connects the dots and gives you both something to talk about. It shows that you've done interest. Another thing, you can take it a step further. You can talk about maybe the strides that a company has made, like in terms of diversity. You like some of the work that they're doing in terms of, machine learning. You like what they're doing in terms of, really pushing innovation to the next level and bringing us into the future. Like those are all things that they really want to be sold on. And this is another example too, like thinking about it from a dating perspective. As you go up to a person at the bar and, they ask you, why are you interested in me? Well, hey, I saw you in here, you seem really nice. You're well dressed, just want to know a little bit more about you, things of that nature. Like kind of thinking about it from that approach and just kind of telling them like, oh, you're so pretty, you smell so nice, like all these things. That's kind of what they're looking for. That's kind of really what the companies are looking for. They kind of want you to butter them up, show that you've done your research, done your homework, and you're looking at it more than just a job. You're looking at it more than just the recognition, because a lot of folks just want to work at a Faang company just to say that they have that on their resume and they can take it anywhere else and get whatever they want in terms of compensation. So they just want to make sure they're setting themselves up for success. And again, taking it back to the dating, you don't want to go up to a person and say like, hey, I saw you're rich, I want your money. Let's date. Let's see what's going on. That's not what they want. So just kind of keep that in mind that you're talking about why us. So again, some of the red flags, again, not thinking it through and just seeing it as a job. And it's the opportunity as whether it's sell or neutral. This is going to be more so selling them on themselves. So again, think about the things that they're proud of, how they relate to you, how you can make that all work, and just kind of sell that back to them and talk to them about how great they are in this space.